What's up, everybody? Hella Flagrant podcast. We up in here. It's your main man, Hella Flagrant DM. I'm in here with my brother Sean B. Flagrant. We had to step in and talk about the NBA playoffs, Western Conference semifinals. We got the Houston Rockets versus the Golden State Warriors, a matchup that everybody's been looking forward to seeing since last year. And here we are. Game one has happened. There was a lot of quote unquote controversy, if you will, with the game. I don't really, I don't really know if you want to call it that. Um, but let's not kind of dilly, like, you know what I'm saying. Let's not mess around. Sean B. Flagrant, what are your thoughts on this series, game one? How is it going to shake out? What's up?
Well, I mean, like you said, this has been a series that everybody's pretty much waited for since last year. I guess Western Conference Finals last year. The Rockets took the Warriors to Game 7, but couldn't come through. The 27 missed three-pointers by Houston was a big deal. Can't take light of that because that kind of carried into this game coming today. Yesterday that we watched. Big time matchup between the Golden State Warriors and the Houston Rockets once again, this time in the semifinals. Now, first we'll start with this. Houston had to play Utah this previous series in the opening round. Got by them, what was it, 4-1? Easy sweep. Not sweep. Gentleman sweep, I should say. The Warriors weren't so lucky. They took them to 6 games this time. Game 2 was an epic failure. The Golden State Warriors lost.
Yeah.
We're up 31 points, 3-1. You know how the Warriors bullshit is. Anyway, we won't talk about that. Game 5, same thing. They kind of lost it. They weren't thinking too straight. They're at home. I actually went to that game. And, they just weren't into it. Kevin Durant started to take over. He said, you know what, forget them. Put the team on my back. It's done. I'm tired of this. Came out with an epic performance, 50 points in Game 6. Took them into this, what the matchup was last Sunday, I should say, for the Rockets and the Warriors. Now, few notes to make of this. Because the Rockets were done early, they decided to head over down the Bay Area, you feel me? Stay in San Francisco, chill out in a hotel, in the St. Francis Hotel, get a little rest while the Warriors were taking care of business in Game 6 in LA. Now, the reason why that was a big deal is because they were a little bit too cocky by doing that.
Right.
I mean, just underestimating the LA Clippers, like they weren't going to have a Game 7, which we all knew they probably weren't.
Right.
But, I mean, as an organization, having respect for NBA players, you should at least take that in consideration that it could be a Game 7. Anyway, they were there in the Bay Area a few days early. The Warriors finished up that Friday, had to turn around and play 36 hours later on Sunday at 12:30, early start, which doesn't feel well usually for a lot of teams. The quick turnaround, starting early game. Now, Steph Curry, bad ankle. Klay Thompson, bad ankle.
Yep.
So, already a little bit of problem coming into the game. The Rockets, as we know, are a team that this year kind of slows the tempo down. They like to run through James Harden. He was the MVP last year. MVP in air quotes, because I know a lot of people don't really find him as an MVP because of the way he plays. But nevertheless, he still is the MVP of the league until somebody takes it over in June. Now, Chris Paul healthy. Always a lot of talk about Chris Paul and his injuries. Last year, that was a big thing about them in Game 7 and 6 that Chris Paul was hurt. That's why they could have won, air quotes again. They could have beat the Warriors, but they didn't. So now, full game. What did you see from the game that you thought, how did you feel about it, I should say?
Well, as you know, I was lucky enough to be watching the Avengers movie for half of the game, so I honestly did not even see any of the game until the fourth quarter. Is the only time I actually saw anything. I heard about it. Obviously, I had to watch the replays of the game. But from the parts that I did see, obviously Kevin Durant continued to be a force at the end of the game, continued to put the team on his shoulders offensively and take charge and really do what he had to do offensively. From what I saw in highlights, and then what I saw off the replay of the game, defensively, Klay Thompson, Andre Iguodala did what they were supposed to do for the most part. I mean, James Harden still had 35 points, but he's the MVP of the league. All you can do is hope to try to contain him as best as you possibly can, and I think they did a good job of not getting wrapped up in that James Harden foul stuff, which obviously I'm not even going to hesitate to talk about. The Rockets have made a stern statement to the league, to the Warriors, to basketball fans that the refs missed a lot of calls. The last 2-minute report said that Steph Curry maybe should have fouled out, but there was also no missed calls in those, some of those contested calls. James Harden went as far as to say, "Oh, we don't want what happened to Kawhi to happen or whatever it is." He referenced Kawhi's injury as a way to point his finger at the Warriors and at the refs to say, "Hey, if something happens to me, if I get injured on one of these 3-point shots, it's on y'all. If we don't beat this team in this series, it's on you, refs." Which I personally don't like. I really don't like that this series is going to be judged by that fact now. I don't like that the fouls have made their way into so many parts of different headlines to where, people have stopped talking about the matchups and really have just focused in on this whole foul shit. I got really, really bothers me. Like I was really mad earlier about this. If you can't tell already, because you know what I'm saying. At the end of the day, the air quotes thing about James Harden, as you put it, for a lot of people in the basketball world, we don't respect you as MVP because you got to where you got because you found a way to take advantage of a move and get a foul call. Cool. We'll take that. You found a loophole in the game and you exploit that. I'm not mad at that part. What I am upset about, and it's not just him because there's other players that do it, is, bro, you get away with travels. You get away with fouls a lot. You get away with offensive and defensive fouls a lot. You should be the last person complaining to a ref about anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get a ref may miss a call. He's a human being, just like you are. But just like you are, you don't play the game 100% clean, so they don't got to ref it 100% clean. And I think the reason why it bothers me is because I think it was 4 years ago when we almost lost the series to the Clippers, and it was a lot of we cried out about fouls back then, and they were all shut up, just play the game, just play the game. You know what I mean? Everybody had that in their mouth, and now all the headlines are, "Oh, the refs this, the refs are favoring the Warriors," and that really kind of gets under my skin because it's like, well, now it's almost impossible for the Warriors to have a fair shake unless they blow the Rockets out by 30 every night. Because now if it's close, it's always going to be, well, the refs lean to them.
Yeah, no, I agree. Few things I wanted to say about everything that you just touched on. James Harden has made a career out of loopholes, finding different things that can exploit other players, different situations that he knows that the rules will go in his favor as he's playing the game. It's basketball, but it's perfected detail on getting an advantage on everything. And that's how the Rockets are as a whole, as a team. Their whole goal is to get an advantage on another team. Case in point, why they went to Oakland, a few days early, even though another series wasn't completed yet. They are always trying to find an advantage on a situation. Now, this is the NBA's fault. And I know that the Rockets, they do complain, and I agree with you. They cry about everything. The Warriors do too about a lot of things. So, I mean, this is pretty much basketball wives, Bay Area. You know what I'm saying? Same thing. It's just a drama fest, which is cool. I mean, we love it, but the fact of the matter is, you knew this going into the series is going to be like this. Both teams are going to be talking because both teams are very competitive, but both teams also know that they probably are the only two teams that are going to come out of the West. No disrespect to Dame and Portland or the Denver Nuggets, but right now this is a series that everybody's here to watch. Right. So everything's on the line. Now, on the Houston Rockets situation, the reason why I said the NBA is at fault for this is because the NBA has made James Harden a superstar off of these loopholes.
Right.
The refs give him these calls because this is how he scores. This is why he is important to this game, because he draws fouls that most people can't even think about, playing like or getting.
Yeah.
Steph Curry is a superstar in his own right, one of the top 3 to 5 best players in the whole entire NBA. Curry doesn't get calls like this. And it's not because Curry is not not one of the best players. It's not that the NBA doesn't know that. It's not because his game is not predicated on making those calls, as is James Harden's
right.
game. Same with Chris Paul. Chris Paul has done this for years. Like you said, back on the Clippers, I remember a game I went to, Golden State, same thing, 12:30 game, but this is a regular season game. He shot down there from half court just to draw a foul. And it literally was like 6 minutes left in the first quarter just to draw a foul and to get 3 free throws. That's not playing basketball.
No.
That's literally, if you want to get 3 points, come off a screen, come off a curl, shoot the damn ball. That's how you get 3 points. I'm not here to debate it because, like I said,
right.
the NBA has made them stars from it. But now, on the same sense as the Rockets, I can understand a little bit how if you gave me that for 82 games and every year prior to that, how is it now that the same exact play I'm doing is not working?
Yeah. I get it. It's like the hack and sack. It's like, Pop playing the foul game as if it was in college. Like, you know what I'm saying? When he was really doing that with the Spurs and playing the strategic and being, real cerebral with the game. I get it. I understand it. Like we talked about, off the show, but we talked about it like it being a boxer. Floyd Mayweather. He's not going to stand in the middle of the ring and fight you and punch you, you know what I'm saying, and go toe-to-toe with you. He's going to dance around. He's going to win his points. He's going to win round by round, and he's undefeated. Fine. Fuck it. You the champ. Great. Have it. When it comes to basketball, you can do that, James Harden, but don't expect me as a basketball fan and as somebody that knows and understands the game, don't expect me to respect you for it. You know what I'm saying? Right. And I think that's the message that the Warriors are having in response to all this stuff about the foul stuff. Is like, bro, I get it. Like they have been here. You know what I'm saying? True indeed, the Rockets have been in the playoffs and we've battled them several times to go on to Western Conference Finals and go on to the finals several times in these last couple of years. So they've kind of been here a little bit too. But bro, as a team, the Warriors have been here. We've dealt with all sorts of bad calls. And so if that's your only MO at the end of the game, if that's your only thing to poke at, I can't respect that. You know what I'm saying? Like there was no talk of, we as a team didn't defend Kevin Durant. He shot over top of, 3, 4 different people at different times of the game. You know what I'm saying? There's no talk about that. There's no talk about some blown defensive coverages by James Harden, by Chris Paul. You know what I mean? Like, Nene was put in the blender. That's a matchup that the Warriors should want. There's no talk about none of this because the only thing people want to talk about is the refereeing and the foul calls. And that's why, like I said, it got under my skin because we're not talking about basketball anymore. We're talking about refs and calls.
Well, yeah, and, I kind of equate this to like a magician. I'm actually going to go to Vegas pretty soon. I'm going to go see Chris Angel. I've never seen him before, but I'm going to go see him. Now, this is what I equated the same situation. Game 1 was a fill-out game. They saw what the refs were going to do. They weren't getting the same calls that they normally get. James Harden went to the extreme to shoot different three-pointers, to kick out his legs, to draw fouls, to try to draw fouls. Didn't get the calls. He was either going to get them or he wasn't. Now he didn't get them. Now, he gets on, after the game, he speaks. He, like you said, he talks about Kawhi last year. He talks about him just getting a fair chance. Mike D'Antoni, the coach, comes on, said the exact same thing. Daryl Morey, who is their GM, decides to bring up evidence from last year's Game 7, game, saying there was 81 missed calls. They said that this time there was at least 16. There should have been at least 16 foul shots for James Harden with those missed calls from Sunday's game. What I mean by the magician aspect is this. A magician, when he does his trick, before he does it, he gets you talking or thinking about what he wants you to see. He gets you focused on a certain thing, so that way, on the back end, he can do his trick, and you won't even know it's coming because you're so focused on one thing. What we're doing right now, talking about this game, about the Houston and the fouls and how bad it is, by James Harden talking to the refs, telling everybody, bringing up old stuff from last year's playoffs, how the Warriors always get calls, how the Warriors always do this. All this stuff is a situation of this magic trick. The Houston Rockets are getting you to focus on one thing. They're getting you to focus on these foul calls. So when you decide to watch the game 2, all you're going to be doing is sitting there watching every single time James Harden shoots. And now your focus is not on if Chris Paul is doing the right thing or playing the right way, if he's shooting 1 for 10, or if Daniel House is making open shots or he's blowing defensive assignments. You're not going to worry about that. If the Rockets wind up losing or if they're winning, the situation is all you're going to see is the foul calls on either James Harden, Chris Paul, or the rest of the Rockets, because that's all you've been trained now to focus on.
Right.
The same thing with the refs. They've heard it. The NBA has heard it. They're going to keep pumping it into the system until the only thing that you do when you watch tomorrow's game or today's game, depending on when you watch this, is the calls from the refs and if James Harden and the rest of the Rockets are getting the right calls. You won't even worry about if Steph, KD, Draymond, Clay, if it's happening to them, because you're not trained to hear that because they didn't come out and say anything.
Right.
You're only going to watch it if the Rockets get these calls.
Right.
And that's what they're doing. It has nothing to do with basketball. It's just a psychological thing that's making you focus on one thing, and that way it will give them an advantage in some kind of way.
Yeah, like the only way, like I said, the Warriors, I feel like, can silence everybody is that if the Rockets get every call and still get beat by 30. Like, that's the only way the Warriors even have a fair shot of kind of like trying to erase this whole foul thing from people's, you know what I mean, the forefront of their minds. Otherwise, if they just have a regular game, and like I said, if it's anywhere close, if it's anywhere contentious, it's going to come down to, oh, well, there's 2 or 3 foul calls that could have been called right here, yada, 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 you know what I'm saying? And like, I don't know. I think it's trash. Like, I think, like I said, like, I know this series was going to have drama. We all knew this series was going to have drama. But this is drama we get? Like, we could have something else. Like, you know what I mean? Like, let Clint Capella and Draymond fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's have some other drama.
Don't. Hey, it still could happen. Don't worry.
It's early. It's really early. It's really
basketball-wise, Barry, it will not just stop with the foul calls. Trust me. It will be more drama with this, especially if the Rockets start getting calls because of all this stuff that I'm just talking about. It will get deeper. Now,
you know it. You know, Dre, if they start getting calls in game 2, and you know Mr. Draymond's going to have a whole lot to say, and that's my fear, is that he doesn't get no technicals arguing about some of this stuff that may transpire, because that's what's going to happen, is that you're going to get KD has kind of calmed down. We've noticed he's kind of calmed down, but he did get 2 techs in the first series. Chris Paul already has 2 in this series. I think he has 1 from the last series, so he's got 3. You start adding those technicals up, you know what I mean? And again, even if, let's say, this thing gets real heated, right? And some of the Rockets players catch a few technicals on the way to this, and the Warriors win this, the technical total still builds for the team that goes on. So, Draymond, you mess around and get 1 or 2 techs in this series, and we still got to keep playing basketball, bro. Like, we got more basketball to play. You know what I mean?
And another key point, you know, that counts for this, I want everybody to know this, especially Warriors fans, understand this. And it plays right to the show, obviously, because flagrant foul. If you are under a person's foot when they come down, that can be ruled as a flagrant foul. So just know that.
Yeah.
So if not saying it's going to happen, knock on wood, it's not going to happen. We don't want our players to get this. But if you are under somebody, and somebody comes down, it can be issued as a flagrant foul. And remember, 4 is the magic number. Y'all remember what happened, Warriors fans, 3 years ago. 4 is the magic number. So be careful, because that's why they petitioned. I'm telling you, this all was at focus. They're petitioning this for a reason.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Warriors fans understand this. The goal is to play on past, the next 2 weeks or week or however long the series takes.
Right.
So be careful. Be careful. If James Harden has to go for 50, don't worry about it. Just don't.
I mean, and that's the thing. Like, that's what it's going to come down to where it's like, well, we're just going to have to let this man shoot freely and hope no one else. You know what I'm saying? Like, we just got to rebound and hope these fools don't get the ball back, because you look at some of these shots, even in slow motion, like the dude is jumping forward. You know what I mean? I gotta, as a defender, I gotta have a right to try to contest the shot. You know what I'm saying? And me contesting the shot, I'm gonna have some jumping motion too. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a perfect person jumping either. And so I gotta have a foot or two of space, just like he gotta have a foot or two of space. And that's fine. But when he jumping 2-3 feet forward, landing with your feet out like you slide down a water slide or something, you know what I'm saying? Like,
well,
come
look,
on, bro.
Look, be careful, Draymond, because you remember how you used to kick that leg out back in the you feel me? Like, be careful. You be an episode of Mortal Kombat fight going on in there.
But Harden even tried to trip Clay though. Harden fell on the floor and stuck his leg out trying to trip Clay. There was no call on that. Y'all ain't crying about that. That's plain and blatant on the replay. But we ain't hearing y'all like, oh yeah, I accidentally tripped the man too, and they didn't call that. No, y'all never gonna say that though. That's why I'm just like, man, y'all got to go on somewhere with all that, like for real. Because I don't like it. I don't respect it. And I'm not gonna say what I said earlier, because I have some more choice words for the Houston Rockets fan. Mike D'Antoni, James Harden, Chris Paul, Daryl Morey, all of y'all. Y'all could, y'all know what y'all could do.
Flagrant foul. Just
y'all know what y'all could do.
Flagrant foul. We're not gonna get ejected though. But but yeah, no. This is on the Warriors in the middle aspect. Steve Curry got to outcoach D'Antoni. He's gonna come with all that bullshit tonight, whenever you're watching this. But understand this: Steph don't reach. Yeah. Clay just plays solid defense. Draymond, I can't never worry about your defense, but just don't get drawn into the bullshit, because they're gonna mess with you.
And I would want Steve Kerr. Honestly, I would want Steve Kerr, and I know he shortens his rotation. I know he don't use a lot of those young guys, but I would even throw some of them young guys out for 2-3 minutes at a time. Let them soak up some of the fouls, or let them soak up some of that. You know what I'm saying? Right. Just to kind of break it up, so it's not so heavily focused on your star players getting into foul trouble and not getting into foul. You know what I'm saying? Because they're gonna have a hard time playing. You put some of them young guys in that don't really care, they might play a little looser and you know what I'm saying, just actually play basketball. And so I hope Steve Kerr does a little bit of, like you said, trying to outcoach D'Antoni, throw some other looks at the Rockets and shakes it up a little bit, because if it's 48 minutes of primarily our star players, it's going to be a mental thing, and I don't want it to be that for us just yet.
Right. Also, I mean, look for Steph Curry to get going in the beginning. I would hope so. Run him off some screen, do a few things. I'm gonna tell you right now, because they're gonna be going. They're gonna try to get their foul calls. I'm gonna slow the game down. If you're in Vegas and you're betting, take the under.
Yeah.
Even
what
though
it's
it's 220. I think it's 220.
And what they do, 204.
Yeah, they did 204 the other night. Now, usually it's a regression to the mean in game 2, so maybe that doesn't work, but I feel like the whistle's going to come out a lot. Yeah. And the Rockets are going to try to muck it up even more than they did, just to prove a point. Because if the refs don't, they're gonna go even more insane. So look forward to being an ugly game tomorrow. But I would take the under definitely in this contest. And but the Warriors are favored by 5, and honestly, if the Warriors can sustain it, through 3 quarters, I think they'll be okay. But I don't know if I would take the minus 5.5 just because I'm just gonna be honest with you guys. I kind of predicted to be close throughout. Maybe some 1 or 2 games here and there, but it might be close. But I will say this: if the Rockets win tomorrow, it's going to go 6-7. If not, this thing might be done quick. This thing might be done quick.
Yeah, I don't know because things always turn. So I'm not. I'm saying it's 5 games regardless.
Yeah. I mean, they'll get one in Houston either way. But
I'm saying it's 5 games regardless. But it's 6 or 7 if they do win tomorrow. But I personally would like to see. I don't know that it will happen. It may be closer than I want it to be. But I want to see the Warriors come out and set the tone early and smack them in the mouth like early, get up by double digits early, and kind of keep that going because again, like I don't want the calls to be a thing. Like I want to, and even if there's games 3, 4, 5, whatever, have some of that stuff come back into the mix. I think for this particular game, because the foul calls are such a headline right now, I want to see high scoring Warriors coming out early, setting the tone early, and letting you know, hey, y'all can't run with us. You never could. I don't care what you got to say about the refs. Basketball wise, you never could play with us because you can't, and that's real. So
yeah, no, I dig it. It's up to them though. They got to set the tone.
yep.
It's up to them.
So we'll see. We'll see what goes down. Rockets Warriors. It's underway, and Hella Flagrant podcast. We will definitely keep you posted and updated as this thing moves along. So check in for these little playoff outtakes and brief cuts, and we'll definitely keep you posted as this series moves along. All right.
Yeah.
Podcast. You already know what it is.
We out, man. Hella Flagrant, www.hellaflagrant.com for all the merchandise, baby. We got your Warrior colors.
Shirts,
we got the Warriors colors. You know what I'm saying? We got the Rockets colors if you like that kind of thing. But anything, colors for everybody, we got them. New shirts coming soon. Don't worry about it. www.hellaflagrant.com.